Hey, Garage Logic fans, Mishki here, slipping in ever so briefly to mention that I have a podcast that comes out every Wednesday and every Friday, twice a week now. The show is pretty much about everything you care about and are interested in and need in your life and want to know more about. I tailored the darn thing specifically to your liking. I tailored it to your loves, to your true passions. That took a long time. I'm spent. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely wasted.
What can 160 years of experience teach you about the future? A lot, especially when it comes to protecting what matters. At Pacific Life, we've helped people and businesses confidently embrace the future with life insurance, retirement income, and employee benefits. With strategies built on strength and trust, and a promise to be here for you today and tomorrow. Ask a financial professional how Pacific Life can help you today. Pacific Life Insurance Company, Omaha, Nebraska, and in New York. Pacific Life and Annuity, Phoenix, Arizona.
Boom, boom, and here we go.
This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, his name is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I'm doing okay.
Are you? Okay.
Well, boy, is that a loaded question.
That was a tough one. I should maybe not ask that for a little while.
I'm totally joking.
Yeah.
I'm totally joking. You know me. When it's game time, it's game time.
You go.
I've always been that way. I've always said, hey, boys, I don't care what's going on. When you step between the white lines, it's time to go. Anyway, but I do want to apologize quick to our audience because I don't want to get too far into the weeds from the technological aspects of what happens here. So basically, I have 4 computer screens.
Yep. All hooked up to different keyboards somehow.
And I have the cell phone. Again, I love, I feel kind of cool because it's like I'm working in an airport.
Sure.
You know? Yeah. And so 98% of the time, everything works seamlessly because we have an amazing team here, whether it's our engineers, Adam and Mike, whether it's our buddy Pat, who does a lot of the stuff for our YouTube channel and everything else. Everything works seamlessly, and they constantly do a great job of updating it and making sure everything flows smoothly. However, on Tuesday, we had a system-wide upgrade with all of our computer software, and everything went freaking haywire, which included GL and included our show. Now, with Garage Logic, I have what's called a, not necessarily a backup, but because it's recorded a second version for the town council, meaning I upload everything.
Sure.
What's heard between the breaks, something like that. So that audio is easily retrievable because I can just say, I can pull that. I know where the breaks are. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
With our show, it's a little different. So I apologize to the listeners where there was one version that sounded like you and I were talking on an AM radio from 1973.
Yeah, my dad called and he said, there's so much interference. And I said, I don't think I was interfering with Reavers' thoughts or vice versa. I thought he was talking about us interfering each other. Right. And but you had taken that down, the bad one.
So I took that down, and what I did was I pulled the audio from our YouTube channel, and then I uploaded that. And unfortunately, the first couple minutes of our conversation got removed from that as well. And I thought, this is the cleanest version I've got. I'm going to upload that, and which I thought, you know what? The first couple minutes of our show, I thought we were brilliant.
I was going to say, should we tell them that was maybe the best 2 minutes of this show we've ever had? But we're going to try to duplicate those 2 minutes and 45 other incredible minutes this show.
All right. So the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about today was so many things have surfaced because we now have what's called the House Fraud Prevention and State Agency Oversight Policy Committee. And this took place on Tuesday.
Just stop right there.
Yep.
Whenever they have those names, you know what you're going to get?
What's that, Mike?
More fraud.
Yep.
And what was the other term in it? House Fraud and Accountability?
This is the House Fraud Prevention and State Agency Oversight Policy Committee.
You're going to get just the opposite of every single thing they said. Remember when they had the Inflation Reduction Act?
Oh, yeah.
And all it did was inflate things?
Well, wasn't there the Babylon Bee basically said, the Inflation Reduction Act, what we're going to do, we're going to print a bunch of money and we're going to take care of all of this inflation.
Yeah.
You dumb
Okay, so I love the names of these things. Okay, so let's suspend disbelief and say they're going to do something. What are they going to do?
So here's the thing. In doing this, I've become a fan of two people in the state of Minnesota. And one is Kristin Robbins. And I knew who Kristin was beforehand, and I think she's a listener of GL. Okay. I heard that through the grapevine. She's a badass.
Really?
She really is. Because she's saying, enough of this. And I believe she does intend to run for governor for the state of Minnesota,
so
which
you're
I
telling
am
me
all for.
She went out on a limb and said she doesn't like $2 billion worth of fraud, and they're thinking it might get up to $6 billion worth of fraud.
But here's why.
That's quite the position to take.
I
see why you like her
in any way. And I just like the way she
handles herself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everything she stands for. It's like, okay, I could have a beer with Kristin Robbins.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. So
you could have a beer with Walls, too, but you'd have to pay for it. You'd have to apologize to the indigenous people that we grew the hops on their land, right?
Oh, you're on fire today.
You'd have to put rainbow dye in it. You'd have to make sure it came with a free breakfast for some kid who doesn't need a free breakfast in school, because that's all Walls can say he did.
All right. So I'm going to take this moment, not to say I told you so, but I'm going to take this moment to say, I'm so old, Michael.
How old are you?
I'm so old that I remember when we decided to do driver's licenses for all. Because you know what? Here in the state of Minnesota, our neighbors deserve the right to be behind the wheel, which I say, the hell they do.
Sure.
Pass a driver's license test just like everyone else. Because obviously that hasn't led to any issues. That's sarcasm, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so old that I remember saying, this is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
And I had jokingly said something. And again, I you know how much I love Johnny Heide. He's one of my favorite people that I ever have worked with in this business. And I said, John, it's clear that this is just the Democrats saying, oh, here's a license. Now make sure you go register to vote, even though you aren't a legal citizen.
Sure.
And he said, you don't have any evidence. So we fought about this. Well, let me just play you a clip, shall I? In today's, I'll read the caption first. This is, again, from Tuesday. In today's fraud committee hearing, again, let me rephrase that. The House Fraud Prevention and State Agency Oversight Policy Committee. All right? In today's fraud committee hearing, the Minnesota Secretary of State's office refused to say that illegal immigrants would not be able to vote using a driver's license under Minnesota's new Driver's License for All program. Representative Patty Anderson, she represents District 33A, quote, we give driver's licenses to anyone here. You don't have to be a citizen, which is a photo ID. If they walk in to vote with their driver's license, doesn't their vote count? Secretary of State's office, quote, in this scenario, it's to affirm their identity. It's the other elements of being eligible to vote that the voter is attesting to and certifying when they register and when they cast a ballot. So the answer to that question is yes? ? Roll the tape.
Thank you. So we give driver's licenses to anyone here. You don't have to be a citizen. You don't have to, which is a photo ID. So if someone comes in, they register, they have the driver's license, but they have an incorrect social or no social or whatever. So then they become incomplete. But if they walk in to vote with their driver's license, does that make them all of a sudden now okay?
Mr. Linnell.
Madam Chair, so the designation on the roster for someone whose registration had been incomplete, if they present the election judge with that acceptable identification document, that would clear the challenge from the roster and they would be permitted to cast a ballot.
I rest my case.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, a week ago, or was it 2 weeks ago? No, it was a week ago because it was in the wake of Rick Kupchilla's documentary, A Precarious State. It was revealed that nearly half of the people here that are here illegally had registered a vote in the state of Minnesota. Most likely. I'm sure they all voted Republican.
I mean, they might have. Some
might have, yeah, for sure. This is such a sham. Everything that is happening to this state has a criminal element to it. And I'm going to tell you, on account of, you want to know why?
I do want to know why.
This is all, this shell game, this puppet master, this has all happened under the governance of Tim Walz. This didn't happen 10 years ago. This is all maybe it did, but not to this extent. We didn't have billions and billions of dollars of fraud taking place at the cost of you and me and everybody listening to this show, unless you live outside of the state.
Everyone who's paying taxes.
Mike, this is, and I can't believe this is not a bigger story. If you okay, I'm sorry, because I'm about to just
you're rolling,
because I am really in a mood today.
En fuego.
The problem is, if once we have, and again, I'm one of these people, once we lose a belief system in the integrity of the voting process, and by the way, I'm one of those people. I have lost that belief system. Once that's gone, the absolute fabric of this country and the state of Minnesota is non-existent. How can you trust anything anymore? These are the people that are creating these policies in the first place. Why do you think there was such an objection about, wait a minute, no, this is not a good idea? Or all of these NGO shell companies that are all being run by nonprofits and everybody's lining their pockets on our dime. We went from an $18 billion surplus to a $6 billion deficit, and the forecast for the next cycle is even worse. We are being taken to the cleaners, and I'm tired of it. And for the first time in my life, I have thought about moving out of the state of Minnesota, and I'm not joking. I am so sick of this crap.
Sure. It is incredibly...
Talk me off the ledge.
I think what we're experiencing is something called incrementalism, right?
Talk to me.
What happens is a group of people in Minnesota say, let's do small changes that end up changing the whole face of Minnesota, right? So they say, we're going to be a sanctuary city. Right, changes the face of Minnesota.
Did we get to vote on that, by the way?
I don't think so.
We didn't have a say on that?
And then after we are sanctuary city, we say, let's get people IDs, so at least we can ID them just in case they get pulled over. Let's have them at least get ID'd, right? So then we get them IDs. And then we say, well, their paperwork on their ID isn't all the way filled out because they have a fraudulent Social Security number or no Social Security number. But if they come up with a different Social Security number, then they could probably just vote, right? And it's incremental changes that destroy the fabric of what we have here in Minnesota, right? And it's just frustrating because anybody who has a little bit of vision says, oh, that leads to this unintended consequence. But I make that line and I say unintended consequence. They intend to do that.
Yeah.
There's a faction of people in Minnesota that say we need to have every single person. You had said, I'm digressing on myself. Rick Kupchella said, how many what they thought were non-Minnesota citizens voted in Minnesota? What did Rick say? He said 50%.
Something like that.
That seems like a huge number. If that's the case...
It might have been Minneapolis.
Okay.
Not the state of Minnesota.
Whatever the number is. If that's true, Reavers, when you go down on a holiday to Mexico, and it happens to be the time you vote in Mexico, do you go vote?
No.
What? Why not?
Well, because I am not a resident. I am not a citizen of that country.
Yep.
And B, I don't feel it is my place to inflict my opinions and thoughts on a place that I'm very unfamiliar with.
Sure.
And I would just like to have those residents, those citizens, be free to vote in that particular election.
I wonder if Donald Trump could do something like, hey, if you're an illegal immigrant and you know you're an illegal immigrant and you vote illegally in anything from a dog catcher vote to the President of the United States, and you get caught doing that, you're instantaneously deported. Why would somebody who sneaks into our country think they could vote? I couldn't do that in Mexico.
Right.
I couldn't do that in Norway.
Right.
I couldn't do that anywhere else in the world. Yeah, why are we accepting votes, illegal votes?
Ooh, pick me.
Okay,
pick me.
Reavers.
Pick me. Well, I'm sure it's purely coincidental. I'm sure it's purely
By
coincidental.
accident, probably.
I think that there's one side of the political aisle that's all for it. And there's another side of the political aisle who's trying to combat this.
Sure.
And I think the side of the political aisle that is for this is doing so because they realize our party is going to the you know what, the ESSER, and we need as many bodies to continue to cast a ballot. Otherwise, we're in real trouble. And that's what's happening.
Unpopular opinion. You ready for it? I seem to be doing these a lot on this show.
That's okay.
I think we should take every illegal immigrant, make them some form of citizen, and say, hey, you got to earn some citizenship here. You're here. Where now the borders are closed. You're here. Get them to understand the American dream. Get them to believe in the values of America. And you know what happens when people start to understand the American dream? And when they have to work for money, they all of a sudden start voting for Republicans.
Yeah.
You find that down in Texas, where a whole bunch of fairly new Americans say, oh, we don't want a bunch of illegal immigration here. We have it good here.
Well, and I remember seeing a video where there was a woman, and she was a mother of a couple of kids. I believe she was Hispanic, and she was so outraged, saying, "Me and my husband and our family went through the process because we wanted to become Americans, and now you're just handing out freebies left and right to everybody that wants to come here and just establish their own." And she said, "No,
that's unfair."
And those are the people. It's the nobody hates bad cops more than good cops theory. Nobody hates that more than the people that actually went through the process and took the time to become a citizen.
Sure.
And I don't blame them whatsoever.
I don't blame them either.
No.
But we've done it before. We've given mass amnesty in the 80s, and I think they have a de facto ability to be here. We let them come over the border.
Yep.
Our president, Joseph Robinette Biden, did it, and we kind of said, hey, come on in here, right? It's more trouble to try to pull everybody out of here than it is to say you are going to have some level of citizenship that you need to earn, right? You need to have 10 years of not being arrested for XYZ. You have 10 years of paying taxes. You have to have 10 years of doing this. You have to have a job. You need to be working. You don't need to work for the same company. That company doesn't own you. And you get to pay full taxes, and you get to have the American dream. And oh, by the way, Spanish culture is kind of a Western culture, right? Mexican culture, they get married, they have kids, they send their kids to good schools, they want their kids to go to college, and they do all these things that America stands for. They want to experience the American dream.
So think about this logic, because this thought just occurred to me. You come here, let's say you came here a year ago, right, under a different administration.
Sure.
You showed up with your hand out, you're from Honduras, you're from Somalia, you're from wherever, and you were immediately given free housing, free health care, free. Everybody wants something for free.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you said, okay, well, you've been here for about 6 minutes, and you are given every right that I have living here in this country and in the state for 47 years.
Sure.
Wait a minute, that doesn't add up.
It doesn't.
So then why wouldn't, let's say I have a newborn. Why wouldn't my newborn then be given that same right? Well, they should be able to vote. But no, but that person's got to wait till they're 18 years old. And again, I still, like we saw there was legislation that was proposed about lowering the age of voting, which I said, no, that's ridiculous.
That's poor planning.
Yeah. But again,
that's incrementalism. That's the exact concept of incrementalism.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, I'm going to really open a can of worms here. I don't think November 4th is exactly 20 days from today. I don't think people understand here in the Twin Cities how important that day is for whatever's going to happen, just how important that is for the city of Minneapolis.
Sure.
Because once again, you vote in Omar Fateh, this thing is going to become this massive. There's fraud on every level. It's daycare, it's food, it's housing, it's healthcare, it's autism, and we've just scratched the surface.
Sure. And that's $2 billion worth of just that, and they think it's another $6 billion.
You elect this guy, and again, I'm no fan of Jacob Fry. However, he's the only thing that's going to stand in the way of this to continue. It will become an avalanche afterwards.
I am a fan of Jacob Fry. I am.
Well, I guess from a policy standpoint.
Yeah, I
don't know him
His policy
personally.
Still kicks the crap out of a communist policy.
For sure,
right?
yes, absolutely.
And I don't think Omar Fateh is going to come into the city, you and I differ on this, and create a bunch of scams. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to live up to his commitment of socialism that's just going to take the city into the crapper,
but Mike,
further into the crapper. And by the way, I invest in Minneapolis.
I know you do.
I love Minneapolis. I have, not trying to sound like a big shot, I have millions of dollars invested into Minneapolis. I want it to work, maybe more than somebody who just moved to Minneapolis and lives in an apartment.
For sure.
I want that to come around, right? And I don't see Omar Fateh as the guy. I don't know, and this is going to be a slight digression. I know we got to take a break.
No, go ahead.
Governor Walz, did you hear what he said about Donald Trump being a poor businessman?
Oh, I actually have that clip.
Let's go to break and let's talk about that.
Because it's just such a...
What color is this guy in your world?
Stay in your freaking lane.
We won't allow you to run a one-car parade, and you're giving a guy who actually has done something a bunch of crap.
I had a feeling that might get a reaction out of you.
That pissed me off.
I bet it did.
And I think, again, I'd like Walz. I don't know why. I think I'd like him personally. I don't know why I say that. I don't know. I saw him give a speech once. I'm like, seems affable.
Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm that easy.
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. This is a guy trying to put you out of... I love that scene from Tommy Boy. Anyway, we are nuts, and wearenutsmn.com. Boy, how fitting. Hey, not GLers, Weekly Scramble listeners, if you're in charge of corporate holiday gifting this year, then listen up. Don't be the person that sends another branded coffee mug. Be the hero who sends toffee peanuts. And that's right. I'm talking about We Are Nuts MN. Locally roasted, family owned, and dangerously good. Their corporate gift tins are fresh, festive, and also unforgettable. Whether you're looking to thank your clients, rewarding employees, or just spreading cheer, they've got you covered. Here's how easy this is, and it's very, very cool. I checked it out for myself. Yeah, I probably ordered a couple holiday gift tins for myself. What's wrong with that? Mm-hmm. I'm celebrating myself.
You're like, I'm going to send these to 10 different families. We all know you're
all
just
going to
go.
Address. Yeah. You go to wearenutsmn.com and you can download the corporate gifting catalog. It's right there on the homepage. You can pick your tins. They have the cashews, which are phenomenal. Mm-hmm. They have the mixed nuts, the chocolate almonds, the hokey pokey popcorn, even the famous 4. You send them your gift list, and they're going to pack, personalize, and ship each tin even with custom enclosure cards featuring your logo and also your message. There's no endless forms. There's no box taping marathons. You just call, you email, or you visit the site. And here's the deal. I know it's hard to think about the holidays right now, but if you want your delivery by Thanksgiving, you've got to place your order by October 17th. And if you want it by Christmas, you've got to place your order by November 14th. So get bold. Give the local gift of wearenutsmn.com. You can also call them directly at 612-781-6596. All right.
Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats, whether it's rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week, I'm looking at the Packers game and picking my favorite back, Josh Jacobs, to go higher on rushing yards, and for Micah Parsons to go higher for sacks. It's so easy. Download the app today. Sign up with the promo code GARAGE to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code GARAGE. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
With football season in full swing, Underdog is the best place for you to get in on all the action. It doesn't get any easier than Underdog. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. A few weeks ago, the Dallas Green Bay game was very good to me. I picked 6 players and stats, got them all right. Instant winner. This time around, I'm sticking with the Packers. I'm looking at Jordan Love to go higher on yards passing. Download the app today, sign up with promo code GARAGE, and score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code GARAGE. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Let me write down the one thing here.
I love that We Are Nuts thing. I think that's a good idea. My attorney used to send me those, and I'd bring them into my office, and then I'd look at the other 20 people in my office, and I'd say, sorry. Like, is that wrong?
Slow in front of everybody.
I would just look around because it was obviously written to the team.
Right.
And I just 100% just kept them all to myself. And then when I finally got sick of them, like with 10% left, I'd put them out there and say, I don't know if you guys would even like these. And then they'd be gone.
You probably wouldn't like them anyway.
You wouldn't like them. So I ate
and then
the
you
90%.
You go to a meeting and they sneak in
they're gone.
And the tin's empty.
Totally empty.
Crumbs.
And then they keep the tin. I'm like, oh, good for you, folks.
So your governor, Tim Walz.
Love him.
He appeared on MSNBC not that long ago. I believe this was Tuesday.
I thought they had to change the name of MSNBC.
I did too.
Isn't it MS Now? Or whatever.
Maybe that's coming at the end of the year.
Yeah, maybe.
I can't remember.
Because the NBC didn't want them to have any correlation. They didn't want anybody to think that had anything to do with NBC.
So I know he's going to run for a third term because he's been so successful in his first two terms.
Sure.
And he's clearly running against one candidate. That's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because that's who he's running against.
Trump's running for governor of Minnesota, I think.
Which is just laughable. Yeah. Anyway, and so is Omar Fateh, by the way. He's also running against Trump. He had some thoughts on the Trump administration. And you know what? It's 1 minute and 24 seconds. I'm going to force you to sit there, listen to the whole thing. And what I'm going to do is play this, sit back, and let my boy Mike Fredoloni go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Heard, the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture has talked about this, Republican senators. I mean, there's consensus now. What they're floating as the solution, which is what they did in 2018, the last time a trade war China's initiated, they cut off soybean purchases, and there was basically like welfare checks. There was a bailout, and it was just, they took the cash and they sent checks out, which just seems like an insane thing to me to kill people's markets and then replace it with checks. I don't even know if you can make people whole, but do you think that works? Like politically, does that sort of ease the pain, I guess?
No. Well, look, I do believe this. Our folks want markets. They don't want these bailouts. This is a short-term fix. Like I said, this is going to be year after year after year. The irony of this whole thing is, and I continue to say this, of all of Donald Trump's failures and the biggest myth, that this guy understands business. He's an absolute abject failure at business. And this whole policy around this is a failure. and the only way to get off this is to let the markets go back. And the irony, again, is calling Democrats socialist when I am begging for free markets here to allow capitalism to work and allow our markets to go. Donald Trump is the one with government interference and the damage that he's doing. Again, he is strengthening China. He's strengthening, Argentina, make Argentina great again. I guess they can just switch the hats. I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He's right. He doesn't know. Governor Walz does not know. I do know a little bit about this topic, right? So China says, hey, we're not buying any soybeans. That's a big problem for all of our soybean farmers in northern Minnesota and North Dakota, South Dakota. It's a huge problem. And then the audacity of that interviewer to say, this is insane. This is like welfare. Well, what about actual welfare? Do you not think that's kind of insane to say, oh, you don't need to work. You just
sit on your ass.
Even if you could work, you don't need to do it. You just sit there and we'll pay you. We'll just put you on some kind of disability thing. And even though you're a full-bodied person that could go get a job, we're not going to ask you to do that. They don't think that's insane. But helping some farmers because we're doing a macro-level decision. We're playing chess when Governor Walz doesn't even understand checkers. I'm not even sure he could do a hopscotch with a straight line. Again, I probably would like him. I'm just saying I might like him. But to say that Donald Trump doesn't understand business or that Governor Walz is even in the same galaxy as understanding business. Governor Walz has not had, to my knowledge, a private sector job that he had to go win at. He was a school teacher, a government school teacher, right? The state of Minnesota school teacher. Love it. That's a big deal, right? That's not a for-profit company that has to look at someone and say, Walz, you're not doing well enough. You got to go. And we all know that Governor Walz has a strange fascination with China. So if anything, I bet you his comments are saying, well, the 30 times that I went to China, 30 times Governor Walz has been to China. I'm going to tell you, I love Mexico. I haven't been to Mexico 30 times, right? I love going down. I've been to Paris once. I loved Paris. I haven't been to Paris 30 times. What kind of weirdo goes to China 30 times?
Honeymoon,
bringing basketball teams because he's a coach, right? Bringing basketball teams to China. That's a odd amount of times to go to China. You have a slight fascination with China. That's like noticing a girl's shoes and saying, hey, nice shoes. And then a day later saying to that same girl, nice shoes. I really like your feet in those shoes. And then everyone starts to understand that he's a China fetishist and that maybe, just maybe, he's a China pervert and he wants China to succeed more than America. Almost everything you can say about that guy is whatever he says, it is the equal and exact opposite of what he means. Oh, he's trying to hurt the farmers. Nope. He thinks that Trump's trying to help the farmers. Right? And everything he says is inverted. It's all inverted because he knows it. I actually think he's probably bright enough to know what he's saying. That's why he, at the end of that sentence, he had to say, I don't know. And you know what you don't do is you don't debate and then have your last line say, just negate everything you said by saying, well, actually, I just don't know. You're right, Walz. You don't know. You just don't know. If you knew, you wouldn't have gotten screwed out of $8 billion worth of fraud in Minnesota. But I bet you I'd like him. I bet you I'd like him.
You just pulled the walls.
I know. What the problem is?
I don't know.
Is my goal as a human being is to not dislike people for stuff I don't know.
That's
right?
true.
If I don't know him,
and you've always been
I always
that way.
say that. Like,
Yeah,
why am I
always
so
been
critical
that
to
way.
this guy? His policies, I just don't enjoy.
You know, one of the things, and I know we're so close to it here in the state of Minnesota, and I don't have any power or any control over what Merriam-Webster does with their dictionary. Mm-hmm. However, when they start to define, or maybe it's already in the dictionary, I have no idea.
Sure.
But when they start to introduce the term gaslighting, his photo is going to have to appear right next to it.
Yeah.
Because he's the king of it.
He really is. And it's weird that no one calls him out and says, Tim, explain to us your business background.
But I don't understand why so many people, and maybe it's just because I know someone very close to me that just says, I don't want to pay attention to this stuff. Mm-hmm. Just tell me what I need to know, right? And I get it. If I didn't have this job, I might probably, but I wouldn't be able to help myself.
Sure.
But how many people refuse to just connect the dots and say, well, none of this is adding up? And what I'm getting at is the talking points that seem to be handed down to, we talked about this the other day with the Antifa nonsense.
Sure.
But it's almost as if all of these Democratic politicians, whether it's Walz, whether it's Pritzker, whether it's Omar Fateh, you name it, they're saying, I'm here to fight against Donald Trump. You're not running against.
Yeah, but that's the way to do it.
I get that.
Right.
But you have no policy to stand on. You're a joke. Everything that has happened under your tenure here in the state of Minnesota has failed miserably.
Help me understand this, because maybe my numbers aren't going to be right. So we have a budget of about $20 billion biannual budget, right? So every 2 years. So that means every year we spend about $10 billion in the state of Minnesota.
Yep.
Something like that, right? I know these are fat, round numbers. Governor Walz was in charge, and again, I can't blame him for this fraud. I get that it's a long distance.
That makes one of us.
Yeah, it's a long distance from him to the actual fraud, I believe. It's degrees of separation. But $2 billion of the $10 billion budget is just fraud. Name another person who would ever keep their job, even if they're just the top head and they had nothing really to do with the fraud. It just happened on their tenure. Name another company that would say, oh, you did $10 billion in business and you lost $2 billion to fraud. All right, well, let's vote for you again because you're doing such a great job.
To have the gall to look these people, and again, who knows? He might win again.
Sure.
I have no idea.
Oh, he's going to.
Let me play you another clip. It's not from here. But this is just how out of touch this party has become with the everyday common citizen.
Before you play that, we got to remember that Walz was living in the East Ridge, East Cliff, right? And he did such damage to it. That they need to do $15 million worth of repairs to it. I'm making that up. He might not have done the damage. But no one has said, real quick, I'm just going to digress real quick. No one has said, You could tear that building down and rebuild it twice for $15 million. What does it need $15 million worth of repair?
I'm sure all of that was on the up and up.
Reverse. $15 million to a building. It's on River Road. I know. It's a 20,000 square foot house. I get it. It does not cost $15 million to repair.
We all know where that building is located.
Yes.
There's one. I don't want to point it out because I
one block away.
Not maybe that.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful home.
And I think they built that for $4 million.
It was less than that.
Less than that.
Because I know the people. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah. You guys were talking about that on Garage Logic, but no one ever said, wait, time out. $15 million builds that building almost 3 times.
And you know what, though? But maybe there's security things that had to be added that you wouldn't have to add to another home.
$15 million worth?
I'm not excusing it.
You can do a lot with $50 million, although they probably use the same contractor that built the new Senate building in downtown St. Paul for $1 billion. Oh, we figured it out.
Good for us.
We answered a problem. Okay, give me this great clip.
Can we head to Oregon?
Yes, I love that place.
It's very analogous to what we're going through here. You know, Portland's got some issues. Boy, you know what? I'm just going to play the clip and then I'm going to help you understand what's going on here. We're going to go to the state of Oregon, and the Democrats are just out of their mind.
Oregon is reportedly spending more in its budget on health benefits for illegal migrants than it sets aside for state police. Oregon officials expect to allocate $1.5 billion in combined state and federal tax dollars on a program that offers health benefits to illegal migrants from 2025 to 2027. Now, during that very same period, they expect to spend $717 million on the Oregon State Police.
You're going to not like my response on this one.
Oh, don't.
Reavers, walk into an emergency room and see.
You know what?
Yeah. Okay.
I did.
All right. Walk into another emergency room.
I might be soon, I should say.
And see a sweet little, I'm going to just say Mexican kid sitting there. Sweet little Mexican girl who's laying in her mom's arms and is not feeling well.
Okay.
You don't have the balls to say no to that kid.
Of course not.
And neither do I.
Of course not.
So when you take it down to the micro level, you say, okay, shoot, these people are here. We've given them de facto rights to be here. Do I want to pay for everyone's health care? No. Am I ever going to deny a 9-year-old girl from seeing a doctor? If I had to pay for it myself out of my pocket, I'd walk over there with my credit card and pay for it. Period. Because we're not a-holes. We would do it. Here, I have an answer to it. The city of Minneapolis wants to build and run grocery stores because they're so smart and they know that they can do it better than the best companies in the world, i.e. Target, Walmart, Cub,
Kowalski's,
the best companies in the world. They know they can do better. What they should do is they should make a emergency room only for people without residency. For immigrants without residency, illegal immigrants. And they'd say, hey, this is your emergency room. You come here, get doctors to volunteer, get nurses to volunteer, try to lower the expenses the best you can, spend a little bit of money on it, right? And I might be okay with that because I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no to people. And when I say a 9-year-old girl, I'm trying to think of the most sympathetic looking creature, but a 47-year-old guy who's not feeling good too, who has no money, I might say, oh Christ, what's wrong with him? Let's see what's wrong with him. Hopefully he's okay, right? And I'm just
let me help you a little bit.
Yeah,
because I guess the other problem is obviously the optics of it, but the system is broken. The system is broken.
Yes,
we can no longer continue to expect because people have the option, and we talked about this at nauseum. The mass migration in states like ours is a real thing.
Sure.
The problem with socialism is at one point you run out of other people's money.
Exactly.
That's kind of what happens. And so I guess for me, of course, I will have sympathy because that kid didn't ask to be dragged here from another kid.
Sure.
But again, the system is broken. And you reminded me of another point. Because have you seen, so I think this is in Oklahoma. It was the border of Oklahoma and Texas? I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. So many of these people that have arrived here, and we're going to go back to the licenses thing, that have arrived here, that have been given basically CDLs.
Sure.
That just say no name required or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're
dangerous driver's license.
And they're being hired because there's so many companies that are so desperate for people to drive for them, and they're a hazard on the road. And that's why and again, my dad drove truck, drives truck.
Does it, yeah.
Both of my brothers do. And I have sympathy for that, right? Because I know how tough that business is. And so the problem that I have with that is, okay, fine, if you want to go through the legal process of doing that and provide for your family, well, as we call them, these sandal wearers, because they all just wear flip-flops as they're driving these big rigs.
Yeah, which is scary.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, you're unloading a truck with pallet jacks with flip-flops on.
Nothing more perfect took place. This was less than a week ago. They started, the state of Oklahoma started to sorry, my phone is going nuts because I made the mistake of applying for something online. Okay. Anyway, the state of Oklahoma said, and I believe it was the Oklahoma State Patrol said, well, no, we're now just going to have mandatory checkpoints.
Yeah, we're just stopping people.
And I don't know if it was I-35 or it was a major freeway. Well, the word got out that there was a checkpoint like coming over a hill where all truckers were required to pull over to see.
And they all had to somehow flip around and go south or what?
No, they all got word of that. They got off at the previous exit ramp.
Sure.
So it's like, you're getting off on the Elko exit on 35, and they're all driving through residential areas. And people are saying, what's going on? Well, those people don't understand. Well, you're the idiots that kept voting for... Yes, driver's licenses for all. And there's a great video of a woman saying, this is not what I voted for. And the husband saying, you sure as bleep did. Yeah. It's just, there's consequences to actions.
So what's that answer, Reavers? If you go deep, we probably need those truck drivers.
They go through the legal process.
But again, I'm going to use this stupid term de facto. They have de facto citizenship here because our president that we might not have agreed with kind of allowed them to come in, and then we gave them some benefits, and then we gave them a driver's license. We moved them incrementally to citizens. Do you say, time out, everybody, all these people that have jobs driving truck, we're going to put you in a training program. You're going to become a citizen. You're going to get no benefits from the United States of America. You have to prove that you can be on your own. But, oh, by the way, truck drivers can make a huge living being a truck driver if you're skilled at it. And if we brought those 10, 20, 30, 50,000 people who could become skilled drivers and we make them skilled drivers, that would alleviate some of the problems that we have in the United States.
Well, and that's the problem is, though, because, so many of these drivers can't speak English. How do we know they can even read road signs?
Sure.
That's huge.
That's valid.
And we've seen catastrophic accidents that have resulted in families losing people. And
totally valid.
Yeah, I don't know. We got kind of worked up today.
We've been doing that lately.
As long as we were giving quick shout outs to random grocery stores here in the great state of Minnesota. Can I give one really quick? And I don't know if you're familiar with this brand. Are you familiar with Safeway Foods?
Yeah, sure.
I got to tell you. So I where was I going? I was driving somewhere with the kiddos, and we popped into a random town that we haven't been to in a million years. I'm like, oh my God, they have a Safeway, because we need to get like Gatorade and all that kind of crap. Oh my God. Safeway makes, you have to go to the deli.
Okay.
They make a bacon wrapped pork tenderloin. It's why God created man.
Really?
It's
or God
unbelievable.
Created pig, basically.
Well, so what you do is, it's so good. Smoker.
Okay.
You throw it in the smoker, and you leave it there for hours. Or if you're in a hurry, what you do is...
Microwave.
No.
All right? Pretty sure. Whip it in the microwave.
No.
Boiling water.
You char the outside so that way the bacon gets crispy, and then you just put it in the oven.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
I think that's the backwards way. Don't you put it in the oven first and then take it out and throw it on?
I thought you're supposed to do it. I mean...
I don't know anything about it, but I'm 90% sure you put it in the oven.
So
you take it up to temperature, and then you take it out and just...
I need the Frat Pack to weigh in on this. So first of all, I need a Safeway that's very close to Jordan, Minnesota.
I don't think there is.
I don't think there is either, because I was a long ways away from where I reside. But like I said, they make a bacon wrapped pork tenderloin that's unbelievable. freaking believable.
We're recording this roughly coming up to lunch, and I can see your little brain saying, I wonder what they're serving down at the canteen.
I'm going to ask
here.
Brian and Tom to make me a bacon wrapped pork tenderloin.
So, we've talked about this place. Do we call the cafeteria a canteen here?
We just call it the cafeteria.
I think we should change the name to it.
You know what? I'll run it through management.
Yeah, let's see. Let's ask Mr. Hubbard if we can say, hey, can we change the cafeteria name to a canteen? I mean, it would be some kind of cool name.
Yeah.
Something cool.
Did you have a...
it's funny that I work a lot, right? I only seem to get sick on weekends, Reavers, because I'm working and I can't get sick.
Sure.
I must have a weekend immune system. A weekend immune system. Reavers, you are the best.
Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast. It helps other people find the show. It helps us out as well, and we appreciate each and every single one of you. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you again next time, and until then, cheers.